Iran thought it had the ultimate weapon, a 21-mile choke point, 20% of the world's oil, 25% of the world's natural gas, and the audacity to hold it hostage. But here's what nobody in the legacy media is telling you. Iran didn't seize a leverage point. It just handed one to Trump. In a single move, President Trump flipped the entire geopolitical strategic board. Make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video because I'm going to break down exactly why Iran's Hormuz gambit was strategically suicidal and why what you're watching now is not an escalation. It's the beginning of the end, and there's no way out for the regime. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness of breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, are you looking for deeper access to me beyond YouTube? Well, join our Courageous Patriots Club for members-only content and exclusive updates. Just scan the QR code or grab that link in the pinned comments. As of 10 a.m. Eastern Time this morning, the U.S. military's blockade of Iranian ports officially went live. CENTCOM's blockade is being enforced against vessels of all nations entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas through the Strait of Hormuz, covering all Iranian ports on both the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Now, critically, ships transiting between non-Iranian ports are still being allowed through the strait, meaning it is a targeted economic stranglehold on Iran rather than a full closure of the waterway. Now, the blockade, of course, follows the complete breakdown of the 21-hour ceasefire talks in Islamabad with Vice President J.D. Vance, where Iran refused to agree to nuclear dismantlement. Now, what's happening here with this U.S. enforced blockade of Iran's blockade is literally virtuosic artistry as far as the geopolitical chessboard is concerned. Calling this 4D or 5D chess on Trump's part would be an understatement. Iran had one card. They had a single point of leverage. That's it, just one. Weaponize the single most important energy choke point on the planet. That's all they had. Close the Strait of Hormuz, disrupt the global energy market so as to force the United States and Israel to halt their military bombardment. Iran believed that by threatening Hormuz, they could trigger a global economic shock so severe that Washington would have no choice but to stand down. The world would literally be begging America to stop. They'd sound like the whole world would sound like Democrats, right? And as it turns out, that logic was catastrophically flawed for the Iranians. When Iran mined the strait and started shaking down tankers, it didn't create leverage. It created urgency. Urgency for the Gulf states to build pipeline infrastructure around the strait, bypassing the strait. Urgency for global energy markets to reroute. Urgency for regional actors to further align with the United States. And most importantly, urgency for Trump to act and act decisively. And Trump's move was pure jiu-jitsu. He, in effect, said, you want to blockade the strait? You think that's your card, right? You want to blockade the strait? Fine. I'll blockade it better than you. I'll blockade it better than you ever could. Trump has literally instituted a blockade of Iran's blockade. He did the unthinkable. He saw their hand and he raised them 10x. U.S. forces, as we speak, are blockading the Strait of Hormuz and effectively blockading Iran's blockade. As of this morning, the United States Navy is sailing directly through the water Iran claimed it controlled and sweeping it clean of all its mines. The Aegis system on those destroyers is the maestro of the naval orchestra, talking to F-22s, F-35s, E-2D Hawkeyes, and other destroyers simultaneously, tracking and engaging multiple threats while pushing 30-plus knots through a 21-mile channel. And what the Iranian regime is now learning the very hard way is that their decision to weaponize the Strait of Hormuz has turned out to be perhaps the single most strategically self-destructive move any regime has made in modern history. I mean, this was a fool's errand from its very beginning. Their military, or what's left of it, was simply not built for prolonged enforcement against a determined superior opponent. And the moment you escalate a choke point like Hormuz, you had better win. You have to win that escalation, because if you don't, you're going to walk away with nothing. If it's your only card and you don't win it, you're going to walk away with no concessions, no leverage, just humiliation. A number of analysts have noted that Hormuz actually wasn't Iran's card. The only card that ever gave Iran real weight at the negotiation table was its nuclear program. That's it. And of course, that's gone. And so the logic behind the move to turn Hormuz into their leverage was completely backwards. Again, they did this out of desperation. The plan was to trigger a global economic shock so severe that Washington would blink, but that didn't happen. It simply didn't happen. What happened instead is that the entire world started building around them. New routes, new infrastructure, new corridors that don't touch Iranian water at all. Saudi Arabia's east-west pipeline has been ramped to roughly 7 million barrels per day, routing Arabian heavy and Arabian light directly to the Red Sea, completely bypassing Hormuz. The UAE's Fujairah port is exporting over 1 million barrels a day through its own separate pipeline. But the granddaddy of them all is the Gulf of America reroute. This is it, gang. This is proof that Trump is the grandmaster 10D chess champion, the likes of which the world has simply never seen. And we as a nation are going to be swimming in more money than we ever imagined possible. Wait until you see this. But first, when we think about war, we picture soldiers in battlefields, but the real damage doesn't stay contained. Take a look at what modern warfare looks like.
Why is this town covered in spider webs? And yes, this is real. The answer is those are not spider webs. That is fiber optic cable. And that is what warfare looks like in 2026. To prevent the drones from being jammed, they trail behind them mile after mile of fiber optic cable. And now the landscape is absolutely covered in thousands of miles of this cable.
And it's not just these fiber optic cables. Every time a missile goes off or a bomb explodes, microplastic particles are released into the upper atmosphere and spread globally, making their way into the air we breathe and the food we eat. Because they're so small, they get absorbed into the bloodstream and our organs, where they build up over time, triggering inflammation and increasing the risk of heart disease, cancers, and even Alzheimer's. But here's what's incredible. New research is now showing that certain probiotics found only in kimchi can bind to these microplastics and help remove them from the body. The results showed that people taking the kimchi-derived probiotic were clearing out nearly twice as many microplastics. And it doesn't stop there. Another study found that a specific strain in kimchi, Bacillus pumilus, can break down BPA, one of the most toxic chemicals in plastic. Now, what that means is your body actually has the ability to get rid of toxins, but only when your gut is balanced and functioning the way it's supposed to. But here's the challenge. Most people aren't eating kimchi consistently enough to get those benefits. So that's why Brightcore created Kimchi One, with over 900 plus strains of beneficial bacteria that deliver all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules. No taste, no smell. It's all non-GMO, 100% made right here in the USA. Today, you can try Kimchi One by clicking the link below for 25% off your entire order, or for the best deal available, call my friends at Brightcore. Give them a call, and you're going to get 50% off plus free shipping. Call them now at 888-597-0233. That's 888-597-0233. Take a look at the traffic of the empty supertankers now getting their oil from the United States and U.S. brokered arrangements with Venezuela. Are you beginning to see the grand strategy that Trump has been implementing for months now? According to Windward's Maritime Intelligence, as of April 12th, 172 crude oil tankers were currently en route to the United States Gulf, our Gulf Coast, reflecting a massive shift in global crude flows toward the United States as a stable export anchor. That includes a 46% increase in tankers arriving via the northern corridor from Europe and a stunning 132% increase in arrivals via the southern corridor from Asia and the Gulf. Hormuz tanker traffic has dropped by roughly 70% initially after Iran's blockade began on February 28th, then fell to near zero, with over 400 oil-laden tankers anchored outside the Gulf waiting for clearance. That stranded volume had to go somewhere. And guess where they went? They went west. They came here. Buyers are replacing stranded Middle Eastern barrels with U.S., Venezuelan, and Brazilian crude. Bottom line, Iran just blockaded itself out of relevance. And the United States Gulf the Gulf of America is the direct beneficiary. So in trying to make Hormuz their greatest weapon, the IRGC has guaranteed that Hormuz becomes irrelevant and that their adversary, the United States, the very force that's bombing them, becomes the chief beneficiary of that irrelevance. That is strategic stupidity at the highest level. This is the game that Trump is playing that Iranian forces literally have no idea of. By weaponizing Hormuz, the regime has incentivized all their neighbors to build pipeline infrastructure to get around Hormuz. They've incentivized their neighbors to further support the United States. And they've incentivized the oil market to recenter itself around the Gulf of America and American energy. In trying to weaponize the choke point, Iran guaranteed the construction of the very infrastructure designed to render that choke point irrelevant and make their enemies' oil all the more valuable. Right now, as we speak, the largest convoy of empty supertankers is streaming from the Gulf of Oman around Africa toward Texas, toward American oil, American workers, and American prosperity. The Gulf didn't become Iran's leverage, it became their liability. And by blockading Hormuz, Trump is guaranteeing that this new global energy architecture, this new energy infrastructure, will solidify permanently around the stability of the United States. And this new world of American-dominated energy isn't just adversely affecting Iran, it's also completely freaking out, ding, 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 China, right? Remember from the very beginning of this conflict, we've noted that Trump is accomplishing two fundamental objectives in one fell swoop in taking out Iran. He's getting rid of the chief impediment to lasting peace and prosperity in the Middle East, secured by the Abraham Accords that have joined together Israeli muscle with Arab money, and he's permanently boxing out China from having tacit control over the single most important energy choke point in the world, Hormuz. China was the chief financier of Iran, buying 80% of Iran's oil, and a nuclear Iran would make China's control over the region permanent. And so now think about who loses most when not a single ship moves through the strait with this U.S. blockade. China, the single largest importer of Iranian oil on the planet. They get 40% of their oil from the strait and 20% from Iran. The economy most dependent on that choke point staying open is China. Every day Hormuz stays closed is another day China's industrial machine runs a little hotter, a little more desperate, a little more willing to pressure Tehran to stand down. Trump didn't just blockade Iran. He handed China a ticking clock. Either the Hormuz situation resolves, which means Iran capitulates, or it doesn't resolve and China pays the steepest price of anyone. Either way, America wins. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, this is 5D chess on steroids. And again, it's not just finally dealing with Iran. It's not just peace and prosperity in the region through the Abraham Accords. And it's not just boxing China out of the region. It's literally forcing the world, but most especially China, to recalibrate their energy purchases around the stability of the United States. This entire operation is effectively placing America at the very center of global energy for the foreseeable future. And there's absolutely nothing anyone can do about it. This is making America great again, like we never even imagined. China's already being forced back to buying American crude oil and LNG imports, with tanker tracking data showing roughly 600,000 barrels per day of U.S. crude. That's worth close to about $10 billion a month at current prices, all coming from China. It's absolutely astonishing. That money is all coming to the United States from China's desperation and how much it needs its oil. All its Iranian oil exports are going to zero. Their $100 million a day in toll extortion in the Strait, gone. China's discounted sanctioned oil pipeline, interdicted. Every card Iran held has been taken off the table. This is epic fury signature. Total situational dominance, zero sentimentality, and a relentless refusal to lose. And we ain't seen nothing yet. The best is yet to come.